Oh, good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Oh yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou. Live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. A lot of y'all off work today, ain't you? MLK Day. Happy MLK Day to everybody. If you're off work, hope you enjoyed it. Did you do anything productive today, though? Well, you're doing something productive now. Watching Uncle Lou like you're supposed to. And good morning, and two. Rams win, Patriots win. Gurley wins, Michel wins. Kamara loses. It is what it is. We'll talk about the Super Bowl today if you guys want to. Talk about the games yesterday. Shout out to the good people over at Lanier HVAC Services. They're good enough to sponsor these Uncle Lou Show lives that we do. So if you live in the Athens, Atlanta, or Gainesville, Georgia area and you need some work done on your HVAC unit, give the good people over at Lanier HVAC Services a call. They'll be happy to help you out, and they do good work too. Their phone number is, what's their number? 678-943-1351. Make sure you tell them Uncle Lou said good morning. Great games yesterday, right? You guys know I'm not really a fan of any NFL team. I like to follow players that I like, whether it be Georgia players or just players that I liked when they were in college or whatever. I don't really have a team. So when I watch the NFL, all I'm really hoping for is good games, exciting games, and players that I like or whatever. I hope they win or do well, whatever the case may be. I know a lot of you don't like the NFL, and that's fine. But yesterday is, I don't see how you could ask for more out of yesterday's games. I mean, you had back and forth games, lead changes, come from behind victories. Both road teams won, right? Both underdogs won. They were great games. I know there's a lot of talk about the officiating in the Saints and Rams game, and I mean, it obviously was pass interference. It didn't get called, but listen, there's penalties that don't get called in every single game, right? It's easy to blame one call when it happens late in the game like that and has such an obvious impact on the game because it happens towards the end. But there was all kinds of penalties called and not called in both of those games that could have gone either way. Stop with the NFL is rigged. You make yourself look silly with this NFL is rigged. You carry on with it if you need to, though. Or if you want to, too. I don't know. Anyway, so did y'all watch the games yesterday? I watched both of them, beginning to end. I don't think there's been a weekend where I've watched two NFL games, beginning to end, all season until yesterday. Now, part of that is because they were such big games, right? Conference championship games. Part of it, I think, is because there is no more college football, so I'm not spending all day Saturday watching games. So when Sunday rolls around, I don't feel too bad about watching some of the games, right? On Saturdays, I watch football from 9 in the morning until 2 in the morning, from the time football starts at the end of August till the time it ends in January. So during the college season, I don't watch a whole lot of the NFL on Sunday because, honestly, I just feel bad if I do. Because I'm out here all day on Saturdays watching the games. I don't want to sit out here all day on Sundays. But I did watch the games yesterday, and I thought they were both really good games. So when you call in today, you guys let me know what you thought about those games. I guess we can go ahead and start up with the Super Bowl predictions, right? Rams and Patriots. I haven't looked at the I'm sure the line is already out on this game, but I haven't looked yet. I don't know. I don't. Who's going to be favored? The Patriots? I think probably the Patriots will be favored, honestly. I don't think it'll be by much. You know what? Should I just go ahead and check now? Let me just go ahead and look. I'm assuming the Patriots are favored by 3 or 4 points, but let me just let me check. Some of y'all may have already looked. Let's see. I don't know. Let's pull it up here. Patriots are favored by 2. That's probably about right. That's probably about right. Don't ask me who I think's going to win. I have no idea yet. Of course, I'll do a couple of videos on the Super Bowl. We have a week off before the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. So I'll do maybe one video this week, like an initial thoughts type thing on the matchup, and then next week I'll do like my official prediction or whatever for the game. But I think it'll be a good Super Bowl. Obviously, if you're a Georgia fan like me, you're looking forward to seeing Todd Gurley and Sony Michel in the Super Bowl. A couple of other players too. David Andrews for the Patriots, right? Isaiah Wynn for the Patriots. Who else? Does Ramik Wilson play for the Rams? Maybe. I see somebody asking 2019 NCAA season on Xbox. We're going to start that. Why don't we do this? Why don't we start that the week after the Super Bowl? Why don't we do that? So we'll have the live shows this week, Tuesday and Thursday night. We'll do them just like we've been doing. Just take phone calls. Next week, same thing. Tuesday and Thursday night, we'll do the live shows like we've been doing. Then the week after that, on the Tuesday and the Thursday night shows, we will start the NCAA Xbox 360 streams during the nighttime shows. How about that? I think the first thing we're going to do is the worst of the worst playoffs, right? And I think we already agreed on which 4 teams that's going to be. But so we'll start that the week after the Super Bowl. How about that? Sounds good to me. All right. Call me up. Let me know what you think. If you want to be on the show, the number to call is 706-510-6817. We could talk some football. Anything going on in college football? Not a whole lot. Tennessee excited as hell. They're ranked number 1 in basketball, so January Madness champions. Which that'll be about all they are, right? They're not winning at all. Let's get real. They've never even made a Final Four. So, I mean, Tennessee's not winning at all. So the best they can do is brag about being ranked number 1 in January. So congrats to the Tennessee Vols men's basketball team for being January Madness champions. Because not going to happen for March Madness. We already know that. Anything else going on? World of college football? Not really. So anyway, 706-510-6817. Give me a call if you want to be on the show, because I'm not going to sit here and talk for an hour. I spend plenty of time on YouTube during the week talking into the camera for no reason. I'm not going to do it on these live shows. So give me a call, or I'll just put this up if you want and play Tool music for an hour. So those are the 2 choices. Look at this picture while you listen to Tool, or give me a call, 706-510-6817. I'll be patiently waiting. Good morning. And you're on with Uncle Lou, too.
Hey, Lou, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, though.
I just got on your live show, so I don't know if you covered it yet. Have you talked about the pass interference call in the Saints game?
You're going to have to speak up just a little bit because we can't hear you.
Have you talked about the pass interference call, or I guess the lack of?
Well, I mentioned it at the beginning. Yeah, I mentioned it at the beginning. I mean, obviously it was pass interference, and they didn't call it. I mean, if I was a Saints fan, I would be irate. But I mean, the reality is there are a dozen or more calls every single game, penalties that aren't called, or penalties that are called that shouldn't have been penalties. So, I mean, it's obvious to point to this one because it happened at the end of the game, close to the goal line. It's obvious to point at that and say that cost the Saints the game. But there was plenty of penalties against the Saints that didn't get called. Three face mask penalties that I can think of right off the top of my head. So I mean, the point is, these kinds of things happen all the time. It does suck for the Saints and their fans that this happened at the end of the game and it was so obvious. But that's just sort of how it goes.
Yeah, agreed. And I'll take this off the air, but I didn't know if you touched on the hiring of Brady as head coach. He kind of come a long way over the course of the year, all the way from running backs coach to head coach and what you thought about that hire. I'll take it off the air.
Head coach where?
Appreciate it.
Head coach where? Yeah, let me see what he said now. Oh, head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I know a lot of people are excited about the Browns, and listen, they had their best year this year they've had in a long time. I mean, it's not like they're winning the Super Bowl next year. I mean, maybe they're not in the toilet anymore, but they're still not anywhere near an elite team. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Ludo. Oh, well, he didn't want to wait, so, yep. 706-510-681-6817. Listen, the Browns have blown how many drafts in a row until this last year, so it's easy to get excited about the Browns. Like I said, they've got some young talent on both sides of the ball. Let's see how they do in this year's draft. Do they continue drafting well this year, or do they go back to their old ways of ruining their draft, which is what, shoots them in the foot time after time? We'll see. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Ludo. Yeah, that's you, though. Go. Good morning. All right. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou, how's it going?
What's up, buddy?
Well, first of all, I want to throw a Super Bowl pick in there. I think I've pretty much learned at this point not to bet against Tom Brady, so I think I'll take that opening line with the Pats. But the reason I called, I caught your video and enjoyed when Football Jesus decided to grace us with his absence. I wanted to get your take because I never heard it on them hiring Manny Diaz. I know you were big on Lane Kiffin in that video. And what did you think of the staff that he's put together so far down there
at Miami?
Yes, sir.
Well, I have the same questions about Manny Diaz that I have about anybody who's never been a head coach before. So, Mark Richt had never been a head coach when he came to Georgia, and he won 2 SEC titles in his first 3 or 4 years. Kirby Smart had never been a head coach, and he won an SEC title his second year. Jeremy Pruitt has never been a head coach, and he went 5-7. You never, and that doesn't mean Jeremy Pruitt's not a good coach. I guess what I'm saying is you never really know what you're going to get when you hire somebody who's never been a head coach before. I do know this about Manny Diaz in Miami, though. The players down there and the hardcore fans and people in and around the Miami area absolutely love Manny Diaz, and those players will run through a wall for him. I don't know. I'm not sure what the infatuation is or whatever, but for whatever reason, they are the players, the team, the area, everything seems to be really, really excited with the Manny Diaz hire. So I do think that Manny Diaz will get the absolute most out of the available talent there this coming year. But when a guy's never been a head coach before, you always have to have some level of skepticism or patience. We can point to Kirby Smart, right, who by any measure has had a pretty successful first 3 years in Athens, but he's made some boneheaded mistakes and decisions, and clock management issues, timeout issues, things at the end of, well, I'm not going to get into it, but the point is there's a learning curve to becoming a head coach. And And those things tend to show up in close games, right? So I think the Manny Diaz hire is a pretty good hire. It's who the players and a lot of the fans wanted. It remains to be seen how this hire looks 5 years from now. And that's true of any hire that's ever made. But I think there's a lot of potential for Manny Diaz at Miami.
I think you're right as far as the first-time head coach. You know, I feel the same way. I do think it's a smart move bringing in a guy like Dan Enos as your offensive coordinator who has been a head coach and can kind of help him with that learning curve.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
As far as
Supporting staff is always important on any college team, but especially with an inexperienced head coach. You need to have guys around you who have been there. So I agree with you. That's a good hire. And I mean, go back to Nick Saban's first stint in the Power Five. He spent the majority of his time losing to teams like Purdue and Illinois. So it could go either way. You just never really know.
Well, I try and be as realistic as I can be. I don't expect, and there are some Miami fans out there that are already talking 12-0 next year, which I think is a little crazy. Realistically, I think a 9-win season is a good season for Miami next year. I don't have any worries about the defense, especially with Manny coming back and then keeping the entire defensive staff intact. It's all really going to me, it's all going to be on Enos and what he can do in that quarterback room and what those offensive coaches can do with what was quite frankly an atrocious offense.
Right, and you have to base expectations no matter what team you're talking about. You have to base expectations on a lot of different things. But one of the things you always have to consider is how far can this team go before they run into what's probably going to be an elite team. And if you look at the division that Miami is in, even with a first-year head coach and a pretty bad year this year, I don't think anyone would be surprised if Miami were able to win their division next year. The problem, of course, is going to be Clemson. If Miami would have hired Nick Saban for this season, they still wouldn't be picked to win the ACC as a whole because Clemson is there. That doesn't mean Miami can't beat Clemson in year one. Anything can happen. But realistically, if Miami can get to, like you said, 9 wins, even 10 wins, and win their division, I think you would have to say that was a successful first season for Manny Diaz.
Yeah, I agree, and the schedule does kind of favor them because they only play 3 games out of the state, but they are going to kind of put their feet to the fire week 1 in Orlando against Florida, which despite what I hear a lot of Florida fans saying, I'm optimistic about with their quarterback and the offensive line they just lost going up against our defense.
Here's the thing with that game. All the pressure is on Florida in that game. Florida is a better team. They had a better season this past season. They're going to be ranked top 10 heading into that game. Miami is likely going to be unranked or maybe somewhere in the 20 to 25 range. Florida's going to be the favorite. Miami breaking in a new coaching staff. I mean, all the pressure is on Florida, and I've been warning Florida fans over the last couple of weeks not to just pencil that game in as a win automatically. I do think Florida's the better team. I do think they will and should be favored. I do think they will and should be ranked higher. But that is a dangerous game for Florida, in my opinion. Manny Diaz and Miami are going to spend the next 8 months preparing for that game. And it's a dangerous spot for Florida.
Yeah, and I think that's one key difference you're going to see, in my opinion, under Manny Diaz that you didn't see under Mark Richt. You're not going to see an unprepared Miami team hit that field.
Yeah, that's been a problem for Mark Richt teams going back a long, long time. You know what I think the problem? Well, Mark Richt's got a lot of problems, but this is something I've said before about Mark Richt. I get the the whole coach speak thing, especially when the coach is talking to the media, like, we prepare the same way every week, no matter who we're playing. You know, where we're just worried about the next game on our schedule. This kind of coach speak, I get that, but the reality of the situation is these kids are not stupid. They realize that certain games are bigger than others for different reasons, right? And the Miami Florida game is a big game, and Mark Richt, I think, tried too hard to keep his team emotionally in a box. And I think it's okay to let your team know this is a big game. I think it's okay to let the team know that. And I think that's where Mark Richt dropped the ball a lot of times. Games that were obviously big games. And I think his overall attitude of just, I don't know, just like a nonchalant attitude trickles down to the team sometimes. And I think that's what you saw with Mark Richt teams failing to show up a lot of times in big games. From what I know and have seen about Manny Diaz, he reminds me more of Kirby Smart in that way than Mark Richt. He's very animated. He's very vocal. He's very emotional on the sidelines. And Kirby Smart is that way too. And that can be a good or a bad thing. I agree. You need to keep your emotions in check from time to time. But it's okay, I think, to tell your team, hey, this is an important game, and this is an important game. In-state rivalry with recruiting the way it is in the state of Florida, and Miami and Florida both being programs that really haven't been close to where they want to be as a program in over 10 years. Neither one has won their conference in the last 10 years, and that's not acceptable for Miami fans or Florida fans. So this is a huge game, and I think Manny Diaz will do a good job of preparing his team and letting them know, you know, this is a big game without letting them get carried away, but not just trying to pretend like this is, Louisiana Monroe or something. I think he'll handle it the right way.
I think you're right. I'm definitely looking forward to the season. Like I said, I'm not expecting just this huge turnaround in year one, 9-10, considering how weak our division is. Maybe an 11-win season if they do good. And at the very least, I would almost go back to my expectations for this year, which were, once again, 9-10, maybe 11 wins, and then at the very least a decent showing against Clemson, see progress in the team.
Yeah, now, if you look at 2 years ago, if Miami were to win the division and play Clemson and lose by 14 even, right? Miami fans, now, it would suck, like, right in that minute that you're losing that game, but then when you look back on it, you would have to consider that progress even from Mark Richt's season of 2 years ago where they just basically got blown out by Clemson in the ACC title game. So that would be great.
I tell folks at the time that was fool's gold, a really, really good defense hiding a bad offense, and it got exposed this year.
The exact same thing happened with Florida when they won the SEC in 2015 and 2016. They had an offense that averaged 21 points a game and an NFL defense. They won a really, really weak SEC East, and then they got blown out by Alabama two SEC championship games in a row. I mean, they rushed for a total of 0 yards combined in those two games against Alabama, and that's sort of what happened with Miami a couple of years ago. They won a pretty bad division with a little bit of smoke and mirrors, like you said, and then they ran into a truly elite team and just were outclassed. And that's where Miami has to get over the hump. Depth, talent in certain key areas. You mentioned the quarterback position already, but they got to get it. In order to beat Clemson, you got to have it on both sides of the ball, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I said, I think they've got it on one. We'll see, this year how well it translates, whether it's one of the guys they have, which were, and Kosi Perry was ranked right up there with Tate Martell coming out of high school. So it's not like, Tate Martell coming in is a drastic jump above what we already had on the roster. But I do think it'll help breed more competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Miami looks this year because I do think Miami has more talent than what they appeared to have last year, obviously. Now, I don't think they're on a Clemson level yet, but I'm interested to see how they come out this year. That Miami Florida game, I'm really excited to watch that game because obviously I'm an SEC homer. I like to see the SEC teams win in these big non-con games. But if for some reason Florida were to lose that game, man, it would really deflate. Florida fans are a little bit delusional about their expectations for next year, and if they were to come out and lose Week 1 to Miami, that would be great for LouTube.
Yes, believe me, I've almost been promoted up to co-host with Alonzo, and we hear from plenty of Florida fans.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's only going to get wait till this summer. That's when it'll really get cranked up. They'll really start coming out of their holes then, for sure. Anyway, hey, I'm going to let you go and get on to the next one. I appreciate the call, and good luck to Miami this season. Yeah, Miami's going to be an interesting team to watch this year, and especially with him having that big game Week 1. We're going to find out real quick what Miami's made of. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Uncle Lou, I would just like to say I'm one of your biggest fans, man.
Thank you.
But I have a question for you. What do you think about, Michel and Todd Gurley going at it? Who's going to have the better stats? Because, Todd Gurley hadn't had the greatest games last couple games. C.J. Anderson kind of took over. So what are your thoughts?
I have some question marks about Todd Gurley. I'm not real sure what's going on with him. I mean, obviously he's one of the best players, not just on the Rams, but in the NFL. I mean, he rushed for over 1,300 yards again this year. He's top 5 rushing in the NFL, top 5 all-purpose yards in the NFL. But something just looked off yesterday with him. I'm not sure what it was. The Rams say he's 100% healthy. And, he did play in the beginning. He had some drop passes. I mean, he had that touchdown, but he didn't do much on the ground. He dropped some passes, which is not like him at all. I don't know if there's something on the outside going on with Gurley that maybe had him not focused on that game for some particular reason or another, but Todd Gurley did not look like the Todd Gurley that we've seen over the last couple of years in the NFL yesterday. Something looked off. And the Rams are lucky or smart, I guess, to have brought C.J. Anderson in a few weeks ago like they did, because for whatever reason, Gurley just didn't have it yesterday. Like I said, I don't know what it is. The Rams say he's not injured, so I guess you got to take their word for it. And he played. He sat out most of the middle of the game, then he played some more in the fourth quarter, but just didn't look like himself. Sony Michel, on the other hand, he looks amazing. As far as trying to predict who may have a better game in the Super Bowl, I play fantasy football every year, and I always hate drafting. A Patriots player on my fantasy team because they spread the ball around so much. Now, Sony Michel has had 2 amazing games in the playoffs. He scored 3 touchdowns, I think, 2 weeks ago. 2 touchdowns yesterday, over 100 yards in both games. The Patriots could go out and win the Super Bowl 35-10, and Sony Michel could have 6 carries for 28 yards. You just never really know with Belichick and Brady and how they're going to spread the ball around. Obviously, Sony Michel has looked better in the playoffs so far than Todd Gurley has. Todd Gurley, over the course of the season, Todd Gurley has been the more reliable in terms of game to game. He's going to get, 15 carries and 5 catches a game or whatever, whereas Sony Michel might have 100 yards this week, 20 yards next week. That's not a knock on Sony Michel, but that's sort of the point. The Patriots, you never really know. Edelman could go out and be the best player today. Next week it might be Gronkowski that is the go-to guy. The Patriots have 3 or 4 running backs they use. Burkhead is really, really good too. I'd like to see them both have great games. I wish neither one of them had to lose next week. One of them does, though. So I guess what I'm hoping is that Gurley gets over whatever funk it is he's in and has a good game. I hope Sony Michel has a great game, and one of them has to win.
care who wins. I just want both of them to do good.
Yeah.
You know. So, Uncle Lou, who do you like in the NFL? Who do you go for?
I don't have a favorite team in the NFL. I mean, I've lived in Georgia my whole life, so I've followed the Falcons, I guess, closer than any other team over the course of my life. But I've never been into the NFL the same way that I am college. So in the NFL, I tend to pull more for players than I do teams.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. I like the Falcons too, but I'm kind of embarrassed to say that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have a Falcons hat, I think, and maybe even a Falcons T-shirt or two. But, like, you know, I've never gotten upset when the Falcons have lost a game. I rarely watch a Falcons game. I'm just not into it as much as I am college. So I tend to just follow the players that I like, whether it's because they played for Georgia or sometimes there's just players in college that I really, really like, and they don't play for Georgia. So, but I follow them even when they get into the NFL. Adrian Peterson was one of my favorite players to follow in the NFL when he was doing real good. So I like Saquon Barkley. You know, so I'll follow players in the NFL and not so much at the teams.
Yeah, the only time I think I ever got upset after a Falcon game was when they blew that 28-3 lead, and that was just heartbreaking.
That was sad. Now, yeah, I was pulling for the Falcons in that game because they're the hometown team and everyone's tired of the Patriots winning. So I was pulling for the Falcons to win that one, but it's not like I got mad or upset when they lost. Yeah, I'm just not.
Yeah,
I'm not emotionally invested in the NFL like I am college.
Yeah, it's like a whole different level of excitement in college football and NFL.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
I mean, it's too many trades and just everybody going around. Changes every year.
Yeah, well, that's starting to happen in college too with these new transfer rules. But hey, thank you for the call, and I appreciate you watching. Keep up the good work. And thank you for the kind words at the beginning too, sir. I really appreciate it. You seem like a pretty smart individual. Because you mentioned you've been watching a lot of Uncle Lou, so that's good. You probably make good grades and pay your taxes too, so I appreciate that. Pretty good. Let me give you one of these too.
5-star caller.
5-star caller. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. Super Bowl 53, Rams versus Patriots. Would the Patriots win another one? Listen, Tom Brady is the greatest football player of all time, okay? Greatest quarterback of all time. I'm a Joe Montana guy myself. I grew up in the Joe Montana era or whatever. I just don't see how anybody can argue it anymore. The guy's 88 years old. He's like that. What's the name of that movie with Brad Pitt in it where he ages in reverse? I mean, that's what Tom Brady is. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. Alan B. here. How are you, sir?
Hey, Alan. I'm good. What's up, buddy?
Happy MLK Day. I was just noticing the coaches that have jumped off the Florida bandwagon, the Florida staff. I saw Georgia recruited hired that defensive back coach. I believe his name is Charlton Warren from the Gators, who allegedly got a bunch of commits excited about coming to UGA further to play defensive secondary specifically. And then I saw last Friday, Coach Saban hired Florida's defensive line coach, a guy named Sal Sunseri, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be the defensive line coach of Florida. So just a lot of turnover there with Dan Mullen's staff after such a rebounding year for them. And I was wondering what you thought. Do you think that might affect the upcoming recruits in the upcoming year with so many coaches leaving the program? Not in the sense of moving on to, I guess you could look at it like they're moving on to bigger and better, but promotion-wise, I can see where some coaches will move on, but it just seemed like a large segment of his defensive staff is leaving.
It is unusual to me that he's had that many coaches leave after 1 year. a year that was good for Florida, but not. I mean, we're used to seeing this like Alabama wins a national title. Now everybody wants their offensive coordinator or their defensive coordinator or their linebackers coach or whatever. And even starting to see that with Georgia. Lost our offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. We've lost some position coaches, things like that. It is a little unusual that Florida is losing multiple coaches like that after the year they had last year. And I know that one recruit basically came out and, I don't remember the exact quote, but about the DB coach that went to Georgia, the recruit basically came out and said, attention, all high school recruits, don't listen to anything Florida tells you. They're all a bunch of liars. I mean, how much of an impact will that have on recruits? I have no idea. It won't have any positive impact on Florida recruiting, though. Now, it might not have a negative impact. I don't know. That's to be determined. But it's never good when your recruits are tweeting that your coaches are a bunch of liars. So we'll see as far as how much effect, if any, that has.
Yeah, that can't be good for anybody. I saw last week, Lou, that T. Martin is coming back and joining Tennessee staff. And I just had a quick question for you. Is he coaching the O-line or the D-line? Because that man is huge.
Well, first of all, it's Tamarice Martin is his actual name. And that's what we're going to refer to him as here on LouTube. We have the ability here to actually pronounce or say first names that have more than 4 or 5 letters. Tennessee fans don't. That's why he was called T. Martin, because those people didn't know how to say Tamarice because there was too many letters in it. They look at a word with that many letters in it and they just don't even try. So his name is Tamarice. And the funniest thing I've seen about the hire of Tamarice Martin was a headline from KnoxNews.com, who covers the Vols and does a lot of online stuff about the Tennessee Vols football program. But the headline was viewer poll: who's the bigger hire, Chaney or Martin?
Wow.
And I had to laugh because, like you said, yes, Tamarice is a slob, no doubt about it. The guys, I don't understand. This always bothers me when I look at somebody and their cheeks are wider than their ears. That just bothers me. If you look at someone face on, you should be able to see at least some of their ears. These people who are so fat, who are such slobs, that when they look at you straight on, like their cheeks come out to here, that's Tamarice Martin. So as far as who's the bigger hire, I still think Chaney is probably a little bit bigger. But if Tamarice gets any more lazy, he could very easily catch Chaney and become Tennessee's biggest hire.
All right, Lou, that's all I got.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, and have a great morning, Alan. I appreciate you watching and calling in, sir. You're here all the time. You're an MVP, sir, and a 5-star caller.
5-star caller.
Yep. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou and 2.
Hey, good morning, Uncle Lou. It's the Super Fan here. How you doing, man?
What's up, buddy? I'm doing great. You?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Fantastic. Yeah. Media day was here for OU, listening to Coach Grinch and everything, and getting ready for the Super Bowl. I always watch the Super Bowl. Can't wait for that, too.
Yeah, gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Todd Gurley does, and basically see how Goff does. I hope the Patriots lose. I cannot stand the Patriots.
Yeah, I think most casual NFL fans and even hardcore fans who are fans of any other team other than the Patriots will probably be wanting the Rams to win this game. And this really isn't anything new. If you look back throughout sports history at any dynasties, eventually it gets to the point where everyone hates the dynasty, right? I mean, everyone hated the Yankees for a while. Everyone hates Alabama now. Everyone's tired of seeing the Patriots win. Now, you know what I don't remember, and I could be wrong because I was middle school age, I guess, 13, 14 maybe when this was going on. I don't really remember, and maybe there's people that can correct me if this is wrong. I don't really remember very many people hating the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. Maybe that's because
I love the Chicago Bulls.
yeah, I was a casual basketball fan. And I don't remember people hating the Bulls. Now, maybe that's because people hated the Pistons back then. You know, the bad boys with Bill Laimbeer and all that, and they were like the hated team in the NBA at the time. I don't know, but usually when a team goes on a run like the Bulls went on in the 90s, they become a hated team because people get tired of seeing them win, like I mentioned with the Yankees, with Alabama now, with the Patriots. The Bulls, I think in my lifetime, might be the only dynasty that I can't really remember a lot of people hating on.
I mean, I don't necessarily hate the Patriots at all. It's just that I don't really like Tom Brady. He's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but sometimes he acts like a pansy when he doesn't win.
Yeah.
I didn't win. I didn't win the Super Bowl. Eli Manning beat me twice.
Yeah. Let me ask you about this, and you guys in the comments section, you can respond to this too. Everyone knows Brady's not fast. We all know that. When he came out of college 100 years ago and went to the NFL Combine, he ran like a 5.29 40-yard dash, which is, I mean, there's, offensive tackles run faster than that now. 5.29. Tom Brady claims that he can run the 40-yard dash faster now than he could at the NFL Combine. Does anybody believe that?
Hell no.
I don't see how that's possible. I don't know if there's ever been a 40-year-old who's faster than they were when they were 20. No matter how fast or slow you are when you're 20, I can't imagine anyone ever being faster than that when they're 40. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, we all know, hate Tom Brady or love him, the conditioning, I mean, everything from the exercise to the diet to, I mean, everything this guy does is to preserve and improve his body physically, right? So if anybody could get faster from the age of 20 to 40, I would say it's Tom Brady, but I just don't know. I would have to see him clocked, I think, before I could really believe that he's faster at 41 than he was at 21.
Yeah, I can see that, but without the question, I think Tom Brady, he can't run as fast as that. He probably can run it at 6 seconds. But I mean, out of this topic, because I'm done talking about Tom Brady. I don't really. But is Kyler Murray going to be treated like Doug Flutie? I mean, I feel like this is going to be like another Doug Flutie situation.
I don't know, but I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. Now, I know there's people that are a lot smarter than me, like NFL scouts and all this kind of stuff, that think it. I don't see it. I think he is too small. I do not think he will last.
I mean, hey, if they want to doubt him like they did Doug Flutie, I mean, look at what Doug Flutie did. Yeah, he was short, but hell, he was an amazing quarterback. But the problem was when everybody kept doubting him, they kept benching him and stuff, like what the Bills did, and that cursed them for a while. So I just want to see Kyler Murray succeed and see what he can do and prove everyone wrong, just like how Doug Flutie did.
Yeah, well, he's going to get a chance because some desperate team is going to draft him in the first round. So,
will it be Cliff Kingsbury?
No. I know what Cliff Kingsbury said, but no. Arizona drafted a quarterback round 1 last year. I don't think they can afford to do that again. So.
Yeah, was it Josh Rosen?
Yeah, Josh
Or
Rosen.
was it, I think that was?
Yeah, Josh Rosen.
Okay.
And here's the thing: you draft Josh Rosen, who's what, 6'4", 6'5", whatever he is, prototypical pocket passer. I mean, so you draft him to build your offense around that. Now you're going to go out 12 months later and draft Kyler Murray and switch up your entire offense after 1 year with Rosen. It just wouldn't make any sense to do that. That's the kind of thing that led the Cleveland Browns down a 20-year hole of nothingness. Is drafting quarterback year after year after year. Huh?
Now they actually have a quarterback, Baker Mayfield, nut grabber himself.
Yeah, an elite running back will do wonders for a quarterback, won't it?
Yes, it will. Oh, Mr. Nick Chubb, I love him.
Yep. Anyway, but yeah, that's the thing. I mean, in the NFL, there's always going to be some desperate team that's willing to take a chance. I just don't see it with I don't see it with Kyler Murray. We'll see. Somebody's going to draft him. I think Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, they will.
I think Dwayne Haskins probably has the most upside of any draft eligible quarterback for this year's draft. I like the Duke quarterback, but somebody's going to take Kyler Murray for sure.
I like these quarterbacks in the draft. There's fairly decent ones, some great ones. I can't wait to see where they get drafted. But one more question before I let you go, man. When is the Georgia spring game? Have they announced it yet? Because they announced ours.
I think it's April 20th. I could be wrong about that, but for some reason that date is coming to mind. But it's usually the second or third Saturday in April. So maybe if somebody in the comment section knows, they can correct me. But for some reason, I'm thinking it.
OU spring game is on April 13th, so can't wait to watch that.
Okay, and yeah, everybody in the comment section is saying April 20th. So so y'all's is the Saturday before ours. We have the Masters golf tournament in Georgia every year, and it's the first full week in April. So they try to schedule the Georgia spring game the week after the Masters golf tournament because there's a lot of people who go to both. And if you schedule the Georgia spring game the weekend of the Masters, then a lot of people don't show up.
I love it, and hey, I'm gonna let you go, Mr. Lou. Thank you for the call, and for picking me up. I'm sorry. But hey, have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, and have a good morning, too, and also, in addition to all that as well, on top of that. So, yeah. I seen the movie Glass over the weekend. If any of you guys were thinking about seeing it. It's pretty good. I give it 3.5 out of 5 Lou's. If you really, really, really liked Unbreakable, you'll really, 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 really like Glass. If you hated Unbreakable, you'll probably hate Glass. However you felt about Unbreakable, that's probably how you'll feel about Glass. That's probably the best way I could describe it. It's got Samuel L. Jackson in it, so I had to see it. 3.5 out of 5 Lou's for me, which is pretty good on my scale, because I'm a pretty tough critic on these movies. I think 4 out of 5 might be the highest I've ever given anything, but yeah, pretty good movie, Glass. And the white guy in that movie that plays the guy with like 21 different personalities or whatever, that guy should win an award. I don't even know what his name is. The white guy. If you saw the movie Split, Glass is part 3, right? Unbreakable was part 1, Split was part 2, now Glass is part 3. The guy that was in Split, the white guy, the crazy guy with multiple personalities or whatever, the 21 different personalities, he's in Glass. He's in the third one too. He's in Glass. This guy should win an Academy Award. The way this guy, it's unbelievable. The guy is, to be able to do that in a movie, to switch from character to character, and you have to just see it to see what I mean, but it's unbelievable. He should win something. Got some super chats here. Gavin, Ryan, Arnett, thank you for the super chat, the donation, sir. Did you see the roughing the passer in the AFC game? If you're talking about the one at the end that they called on Tom Brady that wasn't roughing the passer, yeah, I saw it. The referee was in a terrible spot to make that call. He was standing behind Tom Brady, So all he saw was the defensive player's hand come down like this. And he assumed it hit Tom Brady in the head, but really the hand landed right here, and you could see it clear as day on camera. But from where the referee was standing, he couldn't see it, and he called it boneheaded call. But like we said in the beginning about the Saints-Rams game, blown calls happen all the time. Martin Rosario, thank you for the super chat, the donation, sir. FSU just did stupidest MLK edit ever. I guess I'll have to look that up. I haven't seen whatever that is. Anyway, I'm going to cut the show for today. We're not going to go over today. Everyone's off and out of school here today, so spend an hour out here. Let me get back in and bother my family some. Appreciate all you guys watching. What's tomorrow? Tuesday. Video uploaded tomorrow around lunchtime, and then we'll be live tomorrow night, Tuesday night. We'll do this same thing. And you know the nighttime shows, we go a little longer. So daytime shows, Monday and Friday, 3 p.m., the show lasts about an hour. Tuesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. We usually go 2 hours, sometimes even a little longer. So give some more people an opportunity to call in. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope y'all enjoyed the conference championship games yesterday. We got a couple of weeks to talk about the Super Bowl here. And then we got signing day coming up, too, here in a couple of weeks. So we'll be doing a bunch of stuff on that. But I appreciate you guys watching. Y'all take it easy and have a great morning also, and in addition to all that as well.